Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas. Today, we're diving into a book that basically throws out the entire rulebook on money, Robert Kiyosaki's Retire Young, Retire Rich. You know that whole work hard, save up, retire at 65 plan? Yeah, Kiyosaki says that's a trap. And if you've ever suspected that, well, you're going to want to stick around for this. Okay, so let's get the basic details on the table. The book is Retire Young, Retire Rich, written by Robert Kiyosaki, and it's part of his whole Rich Dad universe. It came out way back in 2002. But the key thing here, the audience, it's really for anyone who's looked at that traditional career path, the whole 9-to-5 grind, and thought there has to be a better way. It's for aspiring entrepreneurs and investors who want to break the mold. And boom, right out of the gate, Kiyosaki hits you with this. Become less employable, not more. I mean, think about that for a second. Everything we're taught is about becoming more valuable to an employer. He's saying, nope, you're playing the wrong game. The goal isn't to climb the corporate ladder. It's to kick the ladder over altogether. It's a wild idea, but it's absolutely central to everything he preaches. So let's talk about the problem. What is Kiyosaki even fighting against? Well, he's got a name for it. He calls it the slow train. And you know exactly what this is, right? It's that plan we're all sold. Get a good, safe job, work your tail off for 40 years, put money in your 401k, and just hope for the best. Kiyosaki says this is a terrible plan. Why? Because you're basically a hamster on a wheel. You're trading your time for money, and your entire financial future depends on your boss not firing you and the stock market not crashing. The whole point of his book is to show you how to get off that wheel. Now, this little comparison here, this is a game changer. It's one of the biggest aha moments in the book. Look at the employee. You earn money, the government immediately takes its cut through taxes, and then you get to spend whatever's left. But look at the business owner. They earn money, they get to spend it on business expenses, a new computer, a car, travel, you name it, and then they pay taxes on what's left over. It's a massive, massive advantage. You're basically using pre-tax dollars to build your wealth. That's huge. Okay, so how do you even start this journey? Well, according to Kiyosaki, it doesn't begin with a business plan or a stock tip. It starts right here, between your ears. It starts with your mind. He has this great quote about expanding your reality, and he uses this perfect analogy. Imagine you have a tiny little glass, but someone wants to pour a whole pitcher of water into it. What happens? Most of it just spills everywhere, right? He says your mind is that glass. If your mental container for wealth is too small, you just can't hold on to it, even if a massive opportunity comes your way. The money will just spill away. So the big question is, how do you get a bigger glass? It starts by changing your core beliefs. You have to question all that safe advice you've heard your whole life. You know that little voice in your head that says, I can't afford that? Kiyosaki says you need to shut that voice down and replace it with a question. How can I afford that? That simple switch from a statement to a question, that's what opens up your mind to finding solutions instead of just accepting limitations. All right, so you've got the mindset shift down. Now let's get into the practical stuff. Let's talk about the tools you need in your toolkit for actually building a fortune. And I love this analogy he uses. You all know the story of the 3 little pigs, right? He says our financial lives are just like that. Some people build their financial house out of straw, one paycheck away from disaster. The middle class, well, they use sticks. A job, a 401k, a little bit better, but still pretty flimsy. But the rich, they build their house out of solid brick. So what are these bricks he's talking about? They're assets, but not just any assets. They are assets that generate cash flow. Things like a business that runs without you, or a rental property that puts money in your pocket every single month. That's the foundation. A job, he argues, is not an asset. When you have a job, you're just working for someone else's asset. The real goal is to build a fortress that can withstand any economic storm. Okay, get ready for another one that's going to flip your thinking on its head. He says, your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. Wait, what? Most of us think the profit comes at the very end, when we cash out, but he's saying that's amateur hour. What he means is this. Rich investors don't just buy something and pray it goes up in value. That's just speculating. Instead, they create their profit from the very beginning. They find a great deal, they negotiate a fantastic price, they know how to add value to it immediately. The profit is locked in on day one. It's about skill and knowledge, not just hope and luck. This next quote really gets to the heart of it. The richest people in the world look for and build networks, Everyone else looks for work. Think about it. It's the difference between flipping the burgers and owning the entire McDonald's system. One is about trading your time for a small amount of money. The other is about leveraging a huge network of people, systems, and properties to create massive wealth. And that brings us to the magic word, leverage. This is the secret sauce. You have to leverage everything. Leverage your labor by building a business so you're not the one doing all the work. Leverage your money, and this is a big one. Use other people's money, or OPM, like bank loans, to buy big assets you couldn't afford on your own. And most importantly, leverage your mind. Keep learning, keep getting smarter about money. That's how you multiply your efforts. You know, this next quote is actually really empowering when you think about it. He says, "Poor people are poor simply because they handle their money problems poorly." Now, that might sound a little harsh, but the point is that everyone has money problems. Rich people, poor people, everyone. The difference isn't the problems, it's how you deal with them. So what do the rich do? They don't hide from their money problems. They don't pretend they don't exist. No, they treat the personal finances like a business. They shine a big bright light on the numbers. They hire a bookkeeper. They build a team, an accountant, an attorney, smart brokers. And they meet with this team regularly to tackle problems head on and turn them into opportunities. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground here. So let's boil it all down. What's the final, single biggest lesson from this book? It really comes down to this. Master the power of leverage. That's it. Use your mind, use your money, use other people's money, and build networks. All of it with one single goal, to build and buy assets that work for you, so you don't have to. It's not about earning more, it's about becoming free. Free from the need to work for a paycheck. That right there is the ultimate goal. All right, so after all that, what's our take? What's the final verdict on Retire Young, Retire Rich? Here's the deal. We're giving it a 7 out of 10, and here's why. As a book to completely shatter your old ways of thinking about money, it is absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic mindset shifter. But, and this is a big but, it is not a step-by-step instruction manual. It's very light on the how-to. It'll get you fired up, for sure, but you'll need to look elsewhere for the nitty-gritty details. If you like this idea and want more, a couple of other books come to mind. The Millionaire Fastlane by M.J. DeMarco is a great, more modern take on this. And if you're serious about building a business system, you have to read The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. So we'll leave you with this final thought from the book. Kiyosaki says your reality is shaped by who you listen to. So my question to you is, who's on your team? Who are you taking financial advice from? And more importantly, are they playing the same game you actually want to win? Think about that one.